Hello, this is Lior from Beefields Farm. I'm a herb grower, herbal remedies maker, and an herbalist. And today I invite you to talk about vitamin D. I'm sure that, like me, you heard all the last 8 months about how important it is to take vitamin D. And I know that for myself, I comply better with recommendation when I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Otherwise, I don't find the self-discipline to actually do it every day on an ongoing basis for months upon months. So, because I believe that knowledge is power, I would like to empower you to understand why vitamin D and why take it or decide not to take it, why it is important. So what we are going to cover today is what is vitamin D, why it is important, what does it do in the body, what the amount of vitamin D that you should have in your blood serum, and if you are deciding to supplement vitamin D, how much you should take, dosage, and risks. So let's start with what is vitamin D. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin that we get it basically through the sun. So we synthesize it through the rays of the sun, through the skin of the body. The thing is that not in all conditions we can actually absorb vitamin D from the sun. So the sun needs to be in an angle of 45 degrees to the earth in order for us to actually get the right lengthways that will enable us to synthesize vitamin D from the sun. So that means that it happens only between 10 and 2. 10 in the mornings and 2 in the afternoons are the optimal times to be exposed to the sun in order to get vitamin D. And if you are doing that, if you're really exposed to the sun in the middle of the summer, 20 minutes out in the sun could be sufficient. The thing is that from, let's say, October to March, if you live in a place that is that the latitude is higher than 40 degrees, so you are north of, let's say, about Atlanta, Georgia, you don't get enough hours of the day, or in some cases like New Hampshire, there are no hours of the days that you get the sun on that angle to the earth. So you basically from October to March cannot synthesize vitamin D from the sun. And that is the reason that many people in the northern state, like New Hampshire, have a vitamin D deficiency. And that is important for a couple of reasons. And now we are going to talk about what is vitamin D doing in your body, why is it so important, why so many people are talking about it and recommend it that you would take it. So what does vitamin D do in our body? Vitamin D, the first thing that it does, it's help the body absorb calcium in the gut. And why is that so important? Why is calcium so important for the body? So people that are deficient in vitamin D, calcium is important because calcium and phosphorus are what builds our bones. And if you don't have enough vitamin D and you don't absorb your calcium, basically your bones are going to be weak, brittle, thin, and they will tend to break. So in children, there is this disease of insufficient or deficiency in vitamin D that is called rickets. in adult, it is called osteomalacia, and in elderberry, it can develop into osteoporosis. So for all ages, even for babies, vitamin D is very, very important for the forming of bones. The other reason that vitamin D is important for absorption of calcium is because calcium plays an important role in muscle contractions. So when your muscle contracts, there is an exchange of calcium to magnesium in the cells of the muscle. And if you don't have enough vitamin D, you don't have enough calcium, your muscles will be weak and fatigued. And just imagine what something like that can do to important muscles like the muscle of the heart. So vitamin D is actually, deficiency in vitamin D is actually related or associated with high blood pressure and heart failure. So very, very important vitamin to have in decent enough amounts in your body. Another thing that vitamin D is important for is the mitochondria. If you go back, or at least for me it's many years ago, to biology class in high school, they taught us that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It is where the cell does the respiration process, and the output of the respiration process is the energy that allows the cell to do all its functions. So very important too. One of the byproducts of the respiration cell of the body is dioxide. And dioxide is toxic to the body. So antioxidant is very important in order to bind the dioxide and eliminate it. And vitamin D does that. It acts as an antioxidant. So actually, if you have a real serious deficiency in vitamin D, you might have inflammation in your body that can deteriorate into autoimmune disease and an early aging. So that's another reason why you want to be in good terms with your vitamin D. You want to have enough of it in your body. And the third reason, and the most important for our talk today, is the immune system. And if you take the immune system and divide it into two parts, you will have the general immune system. And the general immune system is immune cells that actually are there to deal with any pathogens that comes into your body. Their role in the immune system is just to track those cells and get rid of them, basically, without knowing what it is. What they know is those are cells that belong to the body, or those are cells that are foreign to the body. That's the only discrimination that they can do. And all cells that does not belong to the body, they attack and eliminate. Two types of those cells are called macrophage and neutrophils, and those are two types of white blood cell, basically, that what they do is they act like a Pokemon. They go around in your bloodstream and engulf pathogens and digest them. Why am I telling you all of this? Well, because vitamin D actually help those macrophage and neutrophils develop and mature into their full ability to do their jobs, basically. So that is very, very important. They help in all this process of finding those pathogens, binding to them, and eliminating them. So very important to have enough vitamin D so you can develop enough macrophage and neutrophil, and that they will do their job in the best way possible. The other thing that is the other part of the immune system is the adaptive immune system, and that adaptive immune system are immune cells that track pathogens that the body already know from the past. So it could be a disease that you already had, and the body already learned it, and he just practiced attacking those pathogens, and it just used that practice to do what it needs to do. So for instance, we all know that if you had chickenpox, you're not going to get chickenpox ever again. And that's because your T cells already learned how chickenpox looks. And when chickenpox comes even near to your body, those T cells are activated and eliminate anything before it can settle down and start to harm the body in any way. Another thing is vaccination. What we actually do with vaccination is give the body the weakened pathogens, and that teach the T cells how those pathogens look like, and that develops the T cells that the body needs in order to protect itself from those pathogens. So what's about T cells and vitamin D? Apparently vitamin D help T cells come to full maturations, because T cells generally are in the body, they start as like babies, and they need to learn how to be proficient in either becoming helper cell or killer cells. And vitamin D is what facilitates that process of maturation and differentiation. So without vitamin D, your T cells are not going to come into full maturation and differentiation. And the thing is that T cells are also important for chronic allergens. So allergic reaction that is coming again and again every year, the T cells is the part of the immune system that fights that. And the other thing that the T cells is doing, and is very important, is detecting tumors. And apparently deficiency in vitamin D is related to many types of cancers, including breast cancers and a couple of other ones. Just leave it like that, not to scare anybody. And so that's important. And as we get older, the body produces less and less T cells. So for that reason, it's very important as we get older that we take even more vitamin D, that we are very consistent with it, because we want to optimize the body ability to produce T cells. The next thing I want to talk about is medicines that actually reduce the body's ability to absorb vitamin D. And I want to start with steroids. And then after that, barbiturates. So medicine that is for the nervous system, especially all the medicines that is anti-anxiety medicine, reduces the absorption of vitamin D, and all stomach acids, so all antacids. And it's important to know about those, that if you're taking them, you should check regularly for your vitamin D and supplement, and supplement vitamin D accordingly. Maybe you will need a little higher dosage if you're taking that, but check your blood levels. The other thing to know, and that's going back to the immune system, because that's keep my mind, is that the reason that research found that the reason that we have so many colds and flu between November, when it peaks, and then it keeps more or less steady levels of colds and flu until February, is because of deficiency in vitamin D, because those are the dark days of the year. So that's the reason why we usually do not get colds and flu in August. So that's very important to know. Okay. In order for vitamin D to act as a good preventative, like in your blood, you need to have, let me check the number, 40 to 50 IU milliliter, milliliter of blood. So 40 to 50 IU of vitamin D in a milliliter of blood. If you already suffer from autoimmune disease, you want it to be 50 to 90 IU per milliliter of blood. Now, you really don't want to get to the 100 or exceed it, because that could cause stone kidneys. Remember, vitamin D helps absorb calcium. If you absorb too much calcium, you will go into the stone kidney extreme. So one extreme is having weak bones and not enough calcium. The other extreme is having too much calcium and having kidney stones. And it's true again for the heart. So it can cause, if you have too much vitamin D in your blood serum, and 100 and higher than that is too much, it can cause heart failure. So you want to check your blood serum before you start taking vitamin D. But in most cases, in the northern country, you will need vitamin D. So how much is the recommended dosage? I take 4,000 to 5,000 IUs daily. The product that I take is by Thorne. It's vitamin D, K2, and the reason I take it with K2 is because vitamin D works with K2, it's another vitamin, and they work together as a team. Vitamin D absorbs the calcium, K2 takes it to the bones. Thorne is based on coconut oil. I just take 10 drops of it, and it gives me the dosage that I recommend. So it's 4,000 to 5,000 IUs daily. That's it. I just want to talk about one more thing when we are talking about it. Usually, when we talk about preventing and treating disease, what you will hear from most doctors is about weakening the disease or the pathogens. So the way they would do it is either through vaccination or through antibiotic or other medication. As an herbalist, I'm looking at the other side. So if a disease is a relationship between a pathogen and a host, there are two sides, and you basically can treat both sides. And what I'm looking to do is strengthen the host. If the host is strong enough, even if the pathogen come, they are not going to be able to take roots and start to multiply and harm the system. So by taking vitamin D, I'm actually empowering my own body to stimulate it or to take care of, nourish its own immune system. So all the pathogens that are around me, and there are so many pathogens around us. I mean, there is bacteria and viruses on every piece of furniture, on the soil, on the earth, on the air, in the water you drink, everywhere. But the secret, I think, to better health is to have a strong immune system. So your body have all the nutrient that it needs, including vitamin D. I hope it's really helpful for you. If you have any comments or any question, I would love it if you would pass them in the comments below, or contact me. If you have any other teams that you're interested to know about, let me know. I'm really interested in answering your questions and help guide you to better health and wellness. Be well and happy winter. Bye.